watercolor memories of the way we were. Scattered pictures of the smiles we left behind, smiles we gave to one another for the way we were. Can it be that it was all so simple then? Or has time rewritten every line? If we had the chance to do it all again, tell me, would we? Could we? Memories may be beautiful, and yet what's too painful to remember
say for certain, maybe you're still here. I feel you all around me, your memory so clear. Deep in the stillness, I can hear you speak. You're still an inspiration. Can it be that you are mine forever, love? And you are watching over me from up above. Fly me up to where you are, beyond the distant star. I wish upon tonight to see you smile.
Please be seated.
If only for a while to know you're there. A breath away is not far to where you are.
Thank you all for coming today. I would like to open this celebration of Irene's life with a poem called Legacy of Love. A wife, a mother, and a grandmother too. This is the legacy that we have from you. You taught us to love and how to fight. You gave us strength and you gave us might. A stronger person would be hard to find, and in your heart, you were always kind. You fought for us all in one way or another, not just as a wife, not just as a mother. For all of us, you gave your best, and now the time has come for you to rest. So go in peace, you've earned your sleep. Your love in our hearts we'll eternally keep. Again, thank you all for coming here this morning as we celebrate the life of Irene Parker. We are here today because somehow, in some way, your lives crossed paths with Irene's. Today we will celebrate who she was. We'll remember who she was and how she impacted each and every one of you. And at the same time, we'll reflect on our own lives and what matters most at times like this. Irene was born on July 14th, 1926, and passed away earlier this month at the age of 95. That's a long life, and I think something that is reason in itself to gather and celebrate someone's life. That's a pretty big accomplishment. Music was a pretty big deal for Irene throughout her life in one way or another. And we'll certainly hear a number of songs throughout today's service in honor of this most lovely woman. Irene loved to entertain. She liked to listen to music. She liked to play cards as well. And I'm told that she was a very personable lady who was always looking ahead in life. She never looked back in that rearview mirror at all. She always pointed herself straight ahead. Irene met Tom Parker in 1945 after being introduced to him by a close friend of hers. That love between the two of them blossomed, and they ended up getting married a year later in 1946. A few years after that, they packed up. They moved north to Fort Nelson, BC, where they spent a pretty good portion of their lives up there. And then Irene and Tom later moved to a warmer climate in the BC Okanagan and eventually moved here to Lethbridge. Irene, I'm told, was a wonderful cook and a baker as well, who could make turkey and roast beef dinners like no one's business. Irene always wanted to look her best as well. Very seldom would she ever go out without nice clothes on and her hair done up to the nines when she was out and about. And I think the way that we see this chapel set up here today with her homemade doilies on the tables and all the flowers, I think she's probably looking down upon us right now beaming ear to ear as we celebrate her life, knowing that this place is decorated so beautiful in her honor. As her obituary says, Irene will be remembered for her beautiful smile, her sunny disposition, kind and friendly nature, and her generous and forgiving spirit. She will no doubt be dearly missed by everyone in this room and everyone whose hearts she touched. That, of course, is just a very small snapshot of Irene's 95 years. Trying to sum up that long of a life in a few short lines or paragraphs is not only impossible to do, it wouldn't do this wonderful lady justice for us to begin to try. But I wanted to put into perspective and give a little context as to why we are gathered here today, and that is to celebrate Irene. No one better to speak about her, though, than those who were closest to her throughout her life. I'd like to please call up Irene's children, Jerry, Les, and Trish, to please come up and give a tribute to their mom. And Trish's cousin, Danny Dolan, will be speaking on behalf of Trish here this morning. Jerry will speak first.
Okay. Yeah, I want to say a few words here about Mom, how things went. Yeah, I want to talk about Mom and things about Irene did. She was quite a lady, quite energetic woman who was, when she decided to get something done, she got it done. Mom was pleased, taken care of, and she was happiest when with her brothers around. She came from a big family, 11 people, quite a few brothers. She outlived all of her brothers, with Jim and Graham were the last two to see her. And that went pretty good. She was a tough nut, like I say. She outlived them all, and she hung on for quite a while, till she was 95. Yeah. In the last few years, when we visited her, I don't think she realized who we were. It was. When she had this dementia, it seems to be a common thing with some older people now. But one good thing about it, she got to see her great-granddaughter, Eleanor. Yeah, she's here, over there. Like I say, I don't know if Mom realized who she was or whatever, but that's one of those things. Now, so Mom will be joining old Tom up in heaven. I can see it now. When she gets there will be a big argument. Mom and Dad argued quite often, which was, we took it all in stride, and they'd argue for a while and get over it and carry on with lives. And so that was one of the things I thought I'd bring up. That was pretty good. The last thing I remember of Mom was her clapping with her hands and a big smile. So, yeah. So that's it. Good night, Irene.
Thank you, Jerry. I'd like to please ask Les to come up and say a few words.
Good to see everybody. It's really good. Haven't seen a lot of people here for quite a while, and thanks for coming. Come. You don't get emotional until you see the people that really love you. Jerry said I was going to have to help him to keep him from crying, but really crying is okay, I think. So I will get started a little bit here. My mom was a great softball player. She was incredible. She played first base, and I know that because I was there almost every game keeping score. And she was incredible. And I asked her, how come you're so good? And she said, because she played ball with all boys. So she had to be good. Yeah. So she was a baker. Our granddaughter said she made the best cinnamon buns ever, and the pies. Whenever Kay and I would come up from the coast to visit Mom, we'd invariably arrive late, about 3 or 4 in the morning, and there was always a big pan of cinnamon buns and a big pan of dinner rolls there waiting on the counter. I mean, Mom would let us in, and then we would fly at her, and then we could go to bed after that. She also made a lot of fancy squares and stuff for us, and for the Royal Purple there, and also lots of doilies and lots of things like that as well. And she made those funny little bunny rabbits, and we have one out in the motorhome. We forgot to bring it, but anyway, she also made pies to take to Royal Purple on Saturday afternoon, and of course it's a big temptation for us boys, and so she made a bunch of pies one day and locked us out. She locked Jerry and I out, but Jerry came home at noon. This is my brother Jerry, in case you don't know. He came home at noon, and he snuck in through the kitchen window and stole a pie. I wish I would have thought of that. Yeah. I think it was mainly Dad's idea to move out of town, and we had 10 acres, 2.5 miles out of town, and we started a little farm. We had horses and ducks and geese and all that stuff, but we didn't have cows because Auntie Carrie had a cow. And so one morning, Jerry the instigator and me, we got up real early in the morning, and we went up and milked that cow before Marvin and Roddy could milk it. And I guess they had quite a little battle about how come they weren't getting any milk from that cow. So Jerry and I took that gallon of milk home. We were so proud of ourselves. But Mom wasn't very proud of us. And so she made us take that milk back. So we did that. So I can only imagine what Mom thought of her 2 boys at that time. When I started to stay out late at night, you know, at 14 or 15 or whatever, I would, you know, get in 3 in the morning or something, and there was Mom always waiting for me at the kitchen table. And we would sit down and have a little conversation, and she would ask me where I was, who I was there with, and what I was doing. And I always went along with that because I thought, she must really care a lot. And that's just the way Mom was. She was really interested in us and stuck with us. Another time, I was at school in the morning and got into a little trouble there. Myself and a couple of my cousins were terrorizing the principal's son. Well, we were just teasing him, that's all. And he come around the corner, and he grabbed us, took us down to the office, and he gave me the strap, but he didn't give those guys the strap because he felt that my dad was chairman of the school board, and I should be setting an example. And so I went home and told Mom that, and Mom got right on the phone right away, phoned up the principal, and said, those boys should get equal treatment. So they did. They all got the strap, too. Yeah, Mom! Yeah, that was great. One night at outside hockey rink in the wintertime, of course, I was last person skating, and I was in the skating shack. So I had one of those diesel heaters in there. It was nice and hot in there, and waiting for Mom and taking off my skates, sitting on the bench, bent over. and I could hear this car coming up pretty quickly, and all of a sudden, kaboom! The wall just split apart, and I went flying across the room, landed upside down, and I see Buick. Because Mom always drove a Buick. And sure enough, what had happened was her foot had slipped off the ice-covered brake pedal and hit the gas pedal, and she knocked the one side of that skate shack into big pieces. So, however, first thing, she got the carpenter down there and got that fixed right away before anybody found out. Come on. Mom could be easily distracted over any spiritual conversation. She immediately would turn to the TV or something, but I did manage to tell her scripture was John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whomsoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. Some translations say live forever. The next visit I came there, walked in the door, and Mom said, I am going to live forever. I thought, oh, that's nice. Now maybe you can see your twin brother Ivor and Dad and everybody else in heaven. And that's about all I have to contribute.
Thank you, Les. And speaking for Trish will be Danny Dolan.
Trish asked me to read her testimonial, but I told her because I'm half Parker, you can't expect me to get up here and not say anything of my own. And because I'm half Dolan, I'll refrain from giving you a geography lesson or an English lecture or something. But I would like to, two things that Jerry and Les each touched on is, my mom told me once an anecdote of when Irene came to her complaining about some bonehead thing that Tom had done, so frustrated. And so while she's telling Mom the story of all this bonehead thing, then it led to another bonehead thing, so Mom started chiming in saying, well, yeah, that sure was inconsiderate. And man, if I was there, I would have taken a strip off him. And how dare Tom do that? And then Irene started defending Tom. And so by the end of it, it was a cheering session for what a great guy Tom was. And Irene was almost in tears, what a great guy. So she loved Uncle Tom. And the other thing about the softball, is Mom told me that it raised a few eyebrows in 1960s Fort Nelson when Irene and the girls would go for a beer after the ball game on a weekend afternoon. So for you women in the audience, you can imagine what a scandal that was for women to come. In Fort Nelson, remember, everywhere, the bars had ladies and escorts. So there were those ladies without an escort, having a beer. And now for young women would think, well, what's the big deal? But back then, so Irene was independent, and those gals went for a beer because they had a ball game and they won, or maybe they lost. And then personally, I don't have children, but so of course I'm an expert on raising them, because I've seen a lot of other people raise their children, and what I've noticed is that the one successful trait is to make a child feel that they are important, that their presence matters. And I spent a lot of time with Irene and Tom, because I was attached to Trish. My mom would babysit Trish during the day while Irene worked, and then I think payback was then I would get sent back for a sleepover or whatever. And while Irene was not the kind of person that would pull you onto her lap and smother you with kisses, she gave good hugs, she gave a big smile, and most importantly to me is that she made me feel that my presence there mattered, that I was important to her. And I think that as a child, that's really the most important thing, is that you know that you're important to someone. And that carried on my life with Irene. When I would visit her, when I was in Oliver on work and everything, is that she would give me such a warm smile and a big hug, and make me feel that she was really glad that I dropped in to see her, and that it mattered that I did, that it wasn't just a courtesy. And that's made me feel good. And the final thing I'd like to say is that the shirt I'm wearing, The last time I visited Irene was in 2019, and she didn't know who I was. And but she was so happy. She was lucky that in her dementia, she mostly, Trish will tell you that it wasn't always the case, but she mostly was happy. And she reached out to me and patted me and said, "What a nice shirt that is." And it's this shirt. And it's about time to go to the recycling, but I saw that, I looked at the picture and saw it, and I dug it out, and I pressed it. I thought Aunt Irene I thought maybe I should press it. So I pressed it this morning for her, but I thought what a true aspect of her nature, that she would give a compliment to someone, that she maybe didn't know or whatever, but her instinct was to say something pleasant and warm and make me feel good about myself. That was her instinct. So, okay. So now this is Trish's tribute to her mother. I am the youngest child, the only girl, and we all know what that means, likely the luckiest one. I feel I have been for the last 58 years. I was born into our family when Mom and Dad were older, more established, and had more time. And more than my older brothers, I benefited from that. Mom did a lot of living in 95 years. Her obituary was hard to write and keep control of. We're all lucky that it was short as it was. Our mom was an amazing woman, tough, independent, and smart, with common sense. And although raised with 9 brothers and insists she was a tomboy, she managed to have and enjoy her feminine spirit her whole life. She was also charmingly naive and was not one to catch jokes or sarcastic humor easily, but she did love to laugh and did see the positive in almost every situation. She would often say, "Smile and the world smiles with you. Cry and you cry alone." All these years I thought she made that up, and it turns out it's an old quote from Gordon Stanley West. She also loved to say, "No one likes to hang around a grumpy Gus," and she truly embodied that. Perhaps that is what made her so easy to visit with and care for. She made friends easily no matter where she lived. She was also a grow where you are planted kind of person, and although she immersed herself and thrived in the northern life of Fort Nelson, BC, and loved to spend time with and valued her friendships with her Parker in-laws, her end game was always to leave for the less harsh lifestyle of either Vancouver Island or the Okanagan for their retirement. And after 39 years in Fort Nelson, and after us kids had left, she finally got her wish. And boy, did they love the Okanagan. And we enjoyed them loving the Okanagan life. Our holidays to visit were epic adventures full of fun memories for all of us. Mom deeply loved her brothers. She was so proud of all of them and of the successful careers they earned, especially considering their humble beginnings as a very poor family on the Alberta prairie. She was profoundly affected by the death of her brother Billy when she was 13 years old. She didn't witness the accident, but she was there in the few hours they waited for the doctor to arrive on the scene and then his passing. Up until dementia really set in, she still talked about the terror she felt at that time. The passing of her mother when she was only 16 was also a devastating blow, the only other female in the house and Mom's best confidant. She remembers aspiring to join the war effort, but she stayed home to help raise Jim and Graham, who were only 12 and 10 at the time. That close motherly relationship would last their entire lives. The family would further suffer the loss of Mom's brother Roy in World War II in October of that same year. And Irene remembers when her dad received the telegram that Roy was missing in action and presumed dead. She hated funerals and death, which is why we celebrate her life in the most meaningful and non-traditional way today. After graduation and when the time came, Mom was happy to venture off and start her career at the bank. And over the years when her brothers married, she made great friendships with her sisters-in-law and looked forward to times when they could get together. Trish says, I have so many memories all tied up with Mom's loving devotion to making sure I grew up with responsible community spirit, a sense of class, and what it was to be a lady. Some of my earliest experiences involve volunteering with Mom to help her efforts with catering Royal Purple events, waiting tables and serving food, cleaning up and toting items to and from the halls. And heaven forbid that anything should happen in the car to the delicious pies she would bake for the bazaars. Another early memory is during a trip to the Liard Hot Springs, a popular camping destination about 4 hours north of Fort Nelson. We were soaking and enjoying the warm waters when Mom was suddenly hauling a boy out of the water onto the boardwalk and giving him artificial respiration. It was all very subtle, but she had noticed his face bubbling under the water. He eventually came to, and later in the evening his family found us in the campground and thanked Mom for saving his life. He had epilepsy, and he had had a seizure, and surely would have drowned if not for her quick actions. Even Trish writes, even at my young age, Mom toted me along with her everywhere, so I was around more adults than children, and developed an ability to converse and make myself talk, and have an interest, and make small talk, and have an interest in other people and an awareness of the bigger adult world around us. Mom had certain expectations of how I presented myself, and in later years when and who I dated. And although I may not have understood that at the time, I could later appreciate how she wanted me to focus and not be distracted with boys. She wanted me to get an education and ensure independence and to make the most of my life. She made sure I was busy with piano and band lessons, figure skating, with hours and hours at the rink in the winters, and summer school in Chetwynd and Edmonton, and everyday life at our beloved ranch. Horses were a big part of our lives, taking care of them, riding, and competing. It was more of a hobby farm, as they both still worked, but it was certainly a very pleasurable distraction for all of us and a ton of work that kept everyone, again, busy. Mom and Dad were very social. They loved to catch up with friends and relatives, even on summer holidays. We were always stopped along the way toward their southern destinations to visit and reconnect with those they knew from years gone by. She wasn't so much into rehashing the past, but instead liked to find out the news. Then she could pass on the news to others in the weeks and months to come. When they eventually made their way to Lethbridge in 1997, we couldn't have been happier. There were so many family dinner pictures for the video that it was hard to pick just one. We made several trips back to Fort Nelson during those early years. They were also big cheerleaders for our boys in their various music and sporting activities. She would say the secret to a long life was to keep moving. Just before Dad passed in 2011, it became evident that Mom was suffering from dementia. That slowly took her from us over the last 12 years, but she did, however, retain much of her sunny personality. Her nursing and recreation therapy staff would tell me that she was a pleasure to care for. She did surprise us on occasion with her ingenuity that we thought she had long forgotten. In one particular week, the staff were trying to catch a sample to rule out a urinary infection, and so they placed a hat underneath the toilet seat and unhooked the handle so that Mom couldn't flush. Well, she took off the tank cover, hooked the handle back up, and then complained to me later that the place was falling apart. She had remarkable support at Legacy Lodge, and we are thankful for the loving attention all staff provided to her and to our family over the years. For about the last 6 years, we arranged for a companion to come and spend time with Mom a few days each week. She and Wendy turned out to be great friends, and Mom loved and thrived with her visits. In the last few months, another companion, Bimala, joined our team, and we are forever grateful to them both for their loving and compassionate care. Mom passed peacefully, which is all a person can ask for. I thank her for the person she was that made me the woman I am today. I'd like to thank Jerry and Les and their families for their trust in me to care for and manage Mom's affairs over the years. I'd like to thank Rick for his incredible support of and love for my mom, and Tyler and Liam for their never-ending entertainment gigs that kept Mom smiling. I'd also like to thank our funeral director, Kinga, and my amazing colleagues here at Cornerstone for going above and beyond in every aspect of the service today and their attention to detail. To my bosses and friends, Ralph and Travis, for their love and patience throughout the years that allowed me the time to care for my mom. And Trish says, to thank you all for coming today, to all those family and friends around the world who are joining our live stream. Thank you for joining us. Mom would have loved to have been here.
Thank you for that, Danny, on behalf of Trish. It's never easy to get up here and speak about someone you love. It takes a lot of courage to even write those words on a piece of paper, let alone stand up here and present that. But thank you very much to all three of you for filling us with those words and giving us what you experienced as children of Irene. So thank you. Music is a very powerful thing. It's something that I think we as human beings use at times like this especially to remember, to reflect, to reminisce. It's really important. We have a number of special songs for you all here today, all of which have some deep meaning in some way, shape, or form for Irene's family. The first song, and I'm sure we've all heard it many times, is You Are My Sunshine. This song I know of some of Irene's family would sing to her and with her on a fairly regular basis this song. So as we listen to this song together, it'll be performed today by Tyler and Katie Wallace and Taryn Parker. Feel free to sing along if you would like to do so. I'm sure you know the words. So use this time as well to reflect on Irene's life and what she meant to each and every one of you.
Sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. The other night, dear, as I lay sleeping, I dreamed I held you in my arms. When I awoke, dear, I was mistaken. So I hung my head and I cried. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away.
Thank you to all three of you. That was wonderful. Our next tribute is from the Parker family, and I would like to please ask Ken Parker to come up and say a few words on behalf of the family. Ken.
Well, as introduced, I'm Ken Parker, and I'm from the Hannah arm of the Parker clan. I am pleased and proud to stand here before you to recognize the contribution that our Aunt Irene made to the Parker family clan. Now you may be asking why this is important. Well, firstly, she was not always a Parker. Let us slip back to the aforementioned date of August 26, 1946, when a beautiful 20-year-old young woman named Irene Greenslade from Sunnybrook, Alberta, accepted a marriage proposal from a 25-year-old returning soldier named Thomas Parker, who had been startled and absolutely smitten by her beauty. So strong was his enchantment that throughout his life and even to his last days, he was heard in reflection to say she was the most beautiful woman in the country. So began Aunt Irene's life as a Parker. She, like the other strong-willed women in the family, bore children, worked long hours supporting and improving their family, and joined willingly in preparing for and participating in the many clan gatherings over the years. She remained fully committed to a loving and supportive marriage to our Uncle Tom. Of particular note was her cheery disposition and her willing smile, often accompanied by an uplifting melody. This is the legacy of Aunt Irene, and the clan were all proud to call her Parker.
Thank you very much for that, Ken. Our next piece of music has some spiritual connections to it. The song that we're going to hear now is called Whispering Hope. It's about a person's soul which has left its mortal body, awaiting eternal life. I ask that we again take this time together to listen to this piece of music performed by Brad and Lavinia Parker. I believe Sam is going to join in as well. And let us again reflect and remember Irene together here today. Thank you to all three of you. Let us take a few moments and reflect spiritually as we ask for God's blessing here today upon all of you, Irene's family and friends, as we remember her today. God, we are gathered here today to celebrate the life of our departed loved one, Irene Parker. We celebrate today a life of love, integrity, and grace, a life that was a legacy to all those here who are left behind. May this not be a day of mourning, but a day of celebration for a life that touched so many. We celebrate the memories that Irene's family and friends will keep with them forever. Lord, bless this gathering today and bless all of Irene's loving family and her friends and comfort them as they go forward in their lives with a renewed memory of her and all that she stood for. And we give thanks to you for the life we have in you. Amen. Our next song is called Imagine, I Can Only Imagine by Mercy Me. You may have heard this song before. And you can see music is a big flavor of this service, a celebration of life for Irene today. This life, or this song, talks about life after death with God. Let's again pause for a few minutes as we listen to the music and again continue to remember Irene here today.
is forever, forever worship you.
Irene's family has put together for us a short video tribute for us all here today. And watch closely, because near the end there's a special little something from Irene herself. So we're going to dim the lights in here and direct your attention to the screen up front. I said earlier about the power of music and how that helps us reflect and remember at times like this. That can even be more powerful when you add pictures and a video to the music. So take the next few minutes, about 10 minutes of your time, and let's watch together Irene's life in both picture and in song.
Welcome to my world. Won't you come on in? Miracles, I guess, still happen now and then. Step into my heart. Leave your cares behind. Welcome to my world, built with you in mind. Knock and the door will open. Seek and you will find. World of mine, I'll be waiting here with my arms unfurled, waiting just for you. Welcome to my world. Waiting just for you. Welcome to my world.
Beneath its snowy mantle, cold and clean, the unborn grass lies waiting for its coat to turn to green. The snowbird sings a song he always sings, and speaks to me of flowers that will bloom again in spring. When I was young, my heart was young then too, and anything that it would tell me, that's the thing that I would do. But now I feel such emptiness within, for the thing that I want most in life's the thing that I can't win. Spread your tiny wings and fly away, and take the snow back with you where it came from on that day. What I love forever is untrue, and if I could, you know that I would fly away with you. The breeze along the river seems to say that he'll only break my heart again should I decide to stay. So little snowbird, take me with you when you go to that land of gentle breezes where the peaceful waters flow. Spread your tiny wings and fly away, and take the snow back with you where it came from on that day. What I love forever is untrue, and if I could, you know that I would fly away with you. Yeah, if I could, you know that I would fly away with you.
I beg your pardon. I never promised you a rose garden along with the sunshine. There's gotta be a little rain sometimes. When you take, you gotta give. So live, live, or let go. Oh, 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 oh. I beg your pardon. I never promised you a rose garden. I could promise you things like big diamond rings, but you don't find roses growing on stalks of clover. So you better think it over. Well, if sweet talking you could make it come true, I would give you the world right now on a silver platter. But what would it matter? So smile for a while and let's be jolly. Love shouldn't be so melancholy. Come along and share the good times while we can. I beg your pardon. I never promised you a rose garden along with the sunshine. There's gotta be a little rain sometime. I beg your pardon. I never promised you a rose garden. I could sing you a tune and promise you the moon, but if that's what it takes to hold you, I'd just as soon let you go. But there's one thing I want you to know. You better look before you leap. Still waters run deep, and there won't always be someone there to pull you out. And you know what I'm talking about. So smile for a while and let's be jolly. Love shouldn't be so melancholy. Come along and share the good times while we can. I beg your pardon. I never promised you a rose garden along with the sunshine. There's gotta be a little rain sometime. I beg your pardon.
Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road. Time grabs you by the wrist, directs you where to go. So make the best of this test and don't ask why. It's not a question but a lesson learned in time. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. So take the photographs and still frames in your mind, hanging on a shelf in good health and good time. Tattoos and memories and dead skin on trial. For what it's worth, it was worth all the while. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. Something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you had the time of your life. something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life.
Dippity-doo-dah, dippity-day. Me, oh my, what a wonderful day. Plenty of sunshine, plenty of rain. Dippity-doo-dah, dippity-day. How's that?
Wasn't that awesome? Not a dry eye in the house. Thank you for putting that together. That was wonderful. This is an important day. This is an important day that we can gather together like this to not just honor a life, but mourn a death. I think time stands still for just a moment as we acknowledge that someone has truly touched our lives and has left an imprint on our hearts, and that our souls are changed for the better forever because of that person. Irene left this earthly life a few weeks ago, but her spirit and her living, that made a big difference. And it will continue to do so as long as you all live. So remember her in your hearts, remember her in your minds, and carry the lessons of her life along with each and every one of you. Irene may be gone physically, but one thing that no one can ever take away is the love. And no one can take away those memories, because those will live on in your minds and in your hearts for as long as you all live. We've talked a lot about Irene's life here today. So many great memories of her, and there are, I'm sure, many, many more. And there has to be, because look how long she lived. But what I said earlier, I think, in my preamble today is just kind of scratching the surface as to the woman Irene was and how she impacted your lives. Life is such a beautiful thing. I really believe it's the most precious gift that we all have. So it's important that we come together in this way to not only honor her life, but to support Irene's family in their grief journey. Whether that be with 20 people, 100 people like we have today, 200, 500, it doesn't matter. It's the fact that we have come together like this to pay tribute to a wonderful woman, to celebrate her life, and to remember her. You know, it's been said that grief is the hardest journey that we as human beings will ever walk in our lifetime. Over the years, people have asked me about grief and how long does it last? How do I deal with it? To be honest with you, those are very difficult questions for anyone to answer, because we all grieve differently. It comes in waves. But I wanted to share this quote about grief with you. I think Trish has seen this quote here at the funeral home, and it stood out to me in particular, and I wanted to share it all with you. It was written by a woman by the name of Elizabeth Gilbert, and I think this quote is quite powerful. She says, "Grief is a force of energy that cannot be controlled or predicted. It comes and goes on its own schedule. Grief does not obey your plans or your wishes. Grief will do whatever it wants to you whenever it wants to. In that regard, grief has a lot in common with love." I think that's pretty powerful stuff. Essentially, what it's saying is we open ourselves up to love someone, we automatically open ourselves up for grief. But again, take your time. Grieve as you need to in your own way. Remember that Irene still lives on in your memories and in your hearts, and though no longer a visible part of your lives, she will remain a part of your family or your friend circle through the influence that she has had on you and that special part that she played in your lives. So never stop talking about Irene. Remember those little things that years ago may have not seemed like much, but now that she's no longer with us physically, they're kind of a big deal. Keep her memory alive as long as you live. There's so many great stories. Every single photo that we saw she had a smile on her face. And I think today she brings a smile to everybody in this room, even after she has passed. I think someone worth loving is worth celebrating forever. We're coming to the end of today's celebration of Irene's life, and we ask that you stay longer if you can. We have a reception here in this very same room, and in fitting style for Irene, why not have a tea party? And that's what we're going to do. We have some fancy china and the whole 9 yards, and we're going to celebrate her life here this afternoon with a nice reception. Following that, we are going to be heading to Mountain View Cemetery to lay Irene to rest. As we close today's celebration of Irene's life, we say thank you to Irene for all that she gave us throughout her life. We say thank you, Irene, for the love, for the laughter, that beaming smile, and for the lasting and long memories that you've given us. We ask today that she be reunited with family and friends gone before her. Today, Irene, we bid you this final farewell. May you rest in peace. For our closing song today, and I think it's a rather fitting piece of music, and aptly named as well, we'd like to ask Tyler and Katie to please come up and sing for us once again as we hear Good Night, Irene.
Sometimes they lived in the country, sometimes they lived in the town. No matter where they ended up, they never let life get them down. Irene, good night. Irene, good night. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. We'll see you in our dreams. Irene, we're gonna miss you. You loved us through thick and thin. We hope you can now rest easy and be with family again. Irene, good night. Irene, good night. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. We'll see you in our dreams.
A very fitting way to conclude today's service. Again, thank you all for coming, and please do stay as we open up the side room for food and beverages. And please, again, stay and celebrate Irene's life. Thank you.